Let us pray to the God of dislikes. Sing with me, gesture at your screen, and please hit the dislike button on this video. I don't want to be seeing any likes because I got a lot of good luck when I got a lot of dislikes. Let's do it. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Let's do it again. I really need a strong prayer for this. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So T minus 6 days. I have a friend at church who's going to set me up on a blind date, but I've been doing a lot of reading and a lot of praying, obviously, and a lot of practice events. So I did some reading today and about what kind of first dates lead to successful relationships. I was disheartened by one piece of news, but fortunately it was only one. The other advice I could follow on there. The one piece of bad news I read was that people who do this one activity, I'll let you think about what it is, on their first date have a really high rate of success. I think it was 60 some percent. And if you wait until the fourth date to do it, your success rate really plummets to 5%. But you know what? It's five, it's not zero. And there are people who go their entire lives without this activity without a problem, right? So it's discouraging, but it's not a complete deal breaker. Let's put it that way. But the number one thing I read on there to not do, and this one I'm actually pretty confident with because I'm going to practice it over the next week, is to be careful not to be rude to the server. Now, this one used to be a big challenge for me. I have food allergies. A lot of servers laugh it off. And a lot of times I almost want to kill the server. But I found that it's a lot better to take the high road. And I'm going to spend the next couple of days of practicing it. I have some money saved up, and I'm just going to spend the next week eating out more and running into servers who laugh at my food allergies, and then practice taking the high road. Right? I actually like it when I take the high road. Uh, I was working for a tech giant at one point, and we had all gone out to lunch. This was in New York City, and one of the waiters there had made fun of me. To be fair, he probably wasn't very well educated. It looked like he was a teenager at his first job, and I took the high road, and it played out pretty well actually. So I will practice that. You know what? There's another reason I want to go practice it. I want to feel confident about being able to enjoy life without a partner anyway. That way, I don't feel desperate when I do go on this date, right? So it will serve two different purposes when I do that. But I'm glad I've had a lot of experience doing that, right? The other thing is obviously don't be late or anything like that. Now, for a first date, yeah, of course I'm not going to be late. As I get to know her more, I do want to, obviously not at the first date, but as I get to know her more, I want her to know that there's more to life than being on time, right? Too often we get so fixated on being on time that we lose the big picture, right? So for example, I teach at a community college. I try not to worry about being 2 3 5 minutes late anymore because I find that the big picture is more important, right? If I'm constantly staring at the time, worrying about being late and all that, it detracts from the overall teaching experience. So that's something that I'll have to, but it's more as I get to know her, obviously, right? The other thing on there was that talking too much about yourself. That this one, what I'm going to do is read more about what's been going on in the current events so that we have something to talk about, right? Obviously, the big event that's okay to talk about is that the weather has been so much better here in the Phoenix area over the last couple of weeks, right? That will be a safe thing to talk about, and to ask her what she's been doing with the good weather, right? But and oh yeah, there's another big event that I want to talk about. Um, Before I go there, I'm going to eat a ton of celery because there's an article about how there's chemicals in celery that make you smell attractive, and it might lead to us doing the one event that makes. By the way, the two people who left likes, could you please change them to dislikes? They bring me a lot of luck. Okay. Celery has this chemical that makes you smell attractive, and it might lead to the one activity that makes the first dates successful 50, 60% of the time. I don't like that one activity, though. It's gross in my opinion. I sometimes vomit when I'm doing it. I know it sounds weird, but I'm very easily grossed out. I am autistic, so I'm very easily grossed out. Where I work right now, we don't have a kitchenette, and just eating there makes me grossed out. Sometimes I go to the bathroom to wash my dishes, and I literally vomit into the sink. And I don't have very good reflexes in terms of vomit. Um, Even at home, my toilet clogs, and the next thing I know, I'm vomiting into the toilet as well, and then I get grossed out even more, and then I vomit more. Sometimes, when I first started working with metal casting, I can't tell you how many times I vomited. Right, I just get grossed out very easily by things that gross me out. Right, when it doesn't gross me out, it's not so bad. But so for there, I have favorite foods that a lot of people might vomit if they see. Right, I eat a lot of baking chocolate. I don't think I vomited the first time I ate baking chocolate. I'm pretty open to trying new foods, as long as they're healthy. But the one activity that binds people 60% of the time when they go on a first date, I can't believe anybody would do that one thing with somebody they just met. I really cannot believe it. It's kind of like I'm trying to think of an analogy. Imagine you try a new food for the first time, and you take one bite of it, and you're like, "Oh, okay, I'll eat this 3 times a day for the rest of my life, right?" I can't think of any food that I've ever behaved like that with, right? Oh yeah, there was one other piece of information I saw on the page. They surveyed where people met their life partners, and nowadays it's actually at the workplace. And so, which I'm glad the culture has changed a lot. Oh, by the way, somebody who left a like, please leave a dislike. I'm glad the culture has changed a lot. Um, I was working at yet another technology company. It was a startup, and during our training, they made it very clear that we were only not allowed to have any sort of relationship with people we were reporting to, or vice versa, right? Obviously, there are other policies, but for the most part, we weren't prohibited from having relationships with other people within the office. Right. So I'm glad the culture is changing. The person who was training us actually made that very clear from the get go. I think they had an ulterior motive though. They wanted us to stay in the office rather than be out there dating, right? But that's another story for another time. All right. So another thing I might do is, like I mentioned, the celery and the chemicals. I might actually start eating celery more, because you never know when you go into the office who you might run into, right? So not just at the dates. It's not a natural habit for me to eat so much celery, but I might change that, right? All right, please continue to pray for me by pray to the God of dislikes by leaving a dislike on the video. Whoever left a like, I would really appreciate if you could please change that to a dislike. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Please leave it. Please show your prayers and support by praying to the God of Peter Dislike. Sing along with me. Gesture at your screen and leave a dislike on this video. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.